The car didn't just decline at the Starbucks drive-thru. It felt like the entire facade of my $100,000 a year life shattered in front of a 19-year-old barista. I was sitting in a $60,000 SUV with heated leather seats, the engine purring with German precision, but I couldn't pay for a $5 latte. The most terrifying part wasn't the empty bank account. It was the realization that I had $200,000 in home equity and a healthy 401k just 3 years ago. I didn't lose it to a scammer or a bad stock trade. I lost it to the slow bleed, and I was so busy living the dream that I didn't notice I was hemorrhaging my entire future until the heartbeat of my credit score finally flatlined. They say you notice an explosion, you hear the bang, you see the smoke, but you don't notice the suburban rot until the floorboards give way beneath your feet. That was my life, a series of tiny, invisible surrenders to a lifestyle I couldn't actually afford, masked by the intoxicating perfume of middle-class success. It started so innocently. We call it lifestyle creep. But that sounds too slow, too passive. It's more like a parasite. It started with the small upgrades that felt like hard-earned progress. In the US, we're conditioned to believe that as our income grows, our footprint must grow with it. I got a $10,000 raise, and within a week, I had signed up for a $150 a month premium gym membership because the local YMCA felt below my station. I upgraded my Spotify, my Netflix, my iCloud storage. I signed up for a Wine of the Month club and a meal kit delivery service because I was too busy to grocery shop. Individually, these were $30 or $40. Collectively, they were a silent army marching through my bank account every single month. If I had lost $50,000 in a single night at a casino in Vegas, I would have been sick to my stomach. I would have looked in the mirror and seen a man with a problem. I would have sought help. But because I was losing $2,000 a month in miscellaneous lifestyle expenses, my brain categorized it as the cost of doing business. I was being robbed by 1,000 paper cuts, and I was the one holding the paper. By the second year, the creep turned into a gallop. We moved into a better zip code. We told ourselves it was for the schools, for the resale value. But the truth was deeper and darker. I wanted to look like the man I thought I had become. But a bigger house doesn't just come with a bigger mortgage. It comes with the neighborhood tax. Suddenly, my 5-year-old car looked like a junker compared to the Teslas and Range Rovers in the neighbors' driveways. So, I leased the SUV. $800 a month. I needed the right lawn service because the guy next door had a putting green perfect yard. $300 a month. We needed the right patio furniture for the summer BBQs we felt obligated to host. For $1,000 on a credit card, but hey, it was 0% interest for 12 months, right? The psychological trap is what experts call normalcy bias. I watched my savings account drop from $60,000 to $40,000, and I told myself I was just investing in our comfort. When it hit $20,000, I stopped looking at the balance entirely. This is the stage of strategic blindness. I developed a physical reaction to my banking app. Just seeing the icon on my phone made my chest tighten and my palms sweat. So, I moved it into a folder on the third page of my home screen. I decided that if I didn't see the numbers, the disaster wasn't actually happening. I lived on autopay and sheer, desperate prayer. I started the juggle. This is a game millions of Americans play in the dark. I'd pay the minimum on the Amex just to keep the line of credit open so I could pay the electric bill. I'd use a balance transfer to move debt from one card to another, feeling a perverse sense of accomplishment, as if I had actually paid something off instead of just moving the trash to a different corner of the room. I was a high earner living like a millionaire on a credit limit that was rapidly shrinking. I was a slave to the Joneses next door, and the irony is they were probably doing the exact same thing. The double life became exhausting. At work, I was the success story. I was the guy people came to for advice. At home, I was a ghost. I'd wait for my wife to go to sleep before I'd check the mail, frantically hiding the final notice envelopes from the utility company or the HOA. I felt like a criminal in my own house. Every time the doorbell rang, my heart skipped a beat. Was it the repo man? Was it a process server? The power dynamic in my marriage shifted without a word being spoken. I became a liar, I hid the truth not to protect her, but to protect my own ego. I couldn't bear for her to see that the provider was actually a fraud. The morning at the Starbucks drive-thru was the day the ghost finally caught up. It wasn't even a large order. Just a latte and a cake pop for my daughter in the backseat. Declined, the barista said, his voice echoing through the speaker for everyone in line to hear. I tried a second card. Declined. Third. Declined. I drove away from that window, the silent tears blurring my vision, while my daughter asked why we didn't get the treats. I parked in the back of a nearby grocery store lot and sat there for 2 hours. I finally pulled my phone out and opened the app one had been avoiding for nearly a year. Total balance: minus $114.32. Available credit: $0. The tragedy wasn't just the money. Money can be made back. The tragedy was the 3 years of my life I had spent working 70-hour weeks, missing soccer games and anniversary dinners, just to fund a brand of myself that didn't even exist. I had traded my security, my marriage's foundation, and my peace of mind for a pile of premium garbage and a car that was about to be towed away. I had $200,000 in equity 3 years ago. Now, I had a second mortgage I couldn't pay and a credit score in the 500s. The most painful part? No one did this to me. There was no villain. There was no market crash or sudden medical emergency to blame. I wasn't scammed by a professional. I was scammed by my own desire to belong to a class I hadn't yet earned. I was the architect of my own collapse, and I did it so slowly, so reasonably, that I didn't even realize I was drowning until the water was already over my head. I lost my house 6 months later. We live in a 2-bedroom rental now. The SUV is gone. The wine club is canceled. And for the first time in 3 years, I can breathe. Look at your recurring small expenses today. Not the mortgage, look at the convenience fees, the subscriptions, the I deserve this purchases. Are they building your life? Or are they the slow leak that's going to sink your ship? Be honest in the comments. We only heal the things we're brave enough to name. Are you living your life? Or are you just funding a facade? If this story felt like a wake-up call you weren't ready for, hit the like button. For more true accounts of the psychological traps we fall into, subscribe to Unspoken Stories. Don't wait for your card to decline to start looking at the truth.